So these kalimat that we are reciting, you don't recite them silently, you should recite them orally such that you can hear the voice yourself in your ears, otherwise you won't get the reward for this. So this is not silent dhikr, should be recited orally. Dhikr, it is, another name for dhikr is to eliminate laziness or negligence. With regards to these kalimat, there's a hadith that these kalimat are very weighty. They are very weighty and they are very beloved to Allah. They are very beloved kalimat to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Mizan, the scale is that scale in which in the hereafter a person's deeds will be weighed. So the deeds that will be placed on the Mizan, there are 2 kalimat, and they will fill the whole Mizan, the scale, with the weight. With regards to the hereafter, any action won't be looked, the quantity won't be looked, rather it will be looked at how beloved was that deed to Allah. So that amal will have a lot of value, which is dear and beloved to Allah. And any actions which are beloved to Allah, remember, they have all a quality, common quality, that for that a person has to crush his desires to do that deed. He has to do mujahidah, he has to make effort. Just like this dhikr in the morning, it's a time of drowsiness, sleepiness, tiredness. Regularly people do not sit in dhikr in the morning, they're not habitual to that, they run towards sleeping, they run towards the bed. For this reason Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has said about this time, that the people who do dhikr in this time in the morning, there are lots and lots of benefits. It's the last part of the night, third part of the night, it's a time for sleep, and every insan, every person feels sleepy at that time. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has put a moment in that last third of the night, that after fard amal, the most highest rank is the tahajjud prayer. So the more mujahidah, effort a person makes to practice a deed, then Allah ta'ala, in Allah's sight, the value of that deed increases the same. So whenever you see that there's laziness, you don't want to do an action, then definitely practice that deed. Definitely practice that. This is a great point I'm making here. That deed, definitely do that deed. If you feel lazy and you don't feel like doing it, even if that deed is done out of laziness, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will accept that deed, that action. So the whole point is regards to suppressing the desires, lowering the desires, crushing the desires. قَدْ أَفْلَحَ مَنْ زَكَّاهَا وَقَدْ خَابَ مَنْ دَسَّاهَا. Allah says success is there where a person, he crushes his desires. So your nafs, your desires will invite you towards impure things, dirty actions, but don't listen to the nafs. And this is the whole deen of Islam. This is the practice of the deen. Whichever servant of Allah crushes his desires, doesn't listen to his desires, doesn't follow his desires, then he carries on becoming successful upon successful. Otherwise, why would Allah Ta'ala make the nafs? The nafs, the desires are such a thing that you can control it. You can control it. You can train the nafs. You can tame the nafs. Yes? Rather, sometimes what happens is that the nafs also brings you towards good. Yes, so it's just this, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the beginning, Allah is expecting His servant to do mujahidah, to make effort, hard work. So all of this, in Ramadan, we have spent the time in Ramadan, it's mujahidah, it's hard work. And what's it against? The desires. What does the nafs wants us to sleep, so we reduce the sleep. The nafs wants to eat, we reduce the eating. The nafs isn't attracted to ibadah or worship, it's against ibadah. Yes, Allah has given us 20 rakat tarawih in the evening, so we can practice, the human can practice through Ramadan to oppose the nafs, oppose the desires. So all wrong actions are generated by the nafs and desires of a person. So what we need to understand here is that the Sufi individuals, this is what they practice. The teachers, the Sufi teachers, they're very high grade people, practice this to oppose the nafs, the desires. And there's no other special amal. The same salah they pray, the same amal deeds, they do everything the same. But the different thing, the unique thing about the walis of Allah that you learn in their company is that they fight and oppose their nafs a lot. They clash with their nafs a lot, and they suppress their desires a lot. So in life, you can say prime time for a human being is the youth. The young age, 25 years old, 26, up to 40 years old this goes. And in this age span, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, all the darajat and heights Allah ta'ala has given in that age span. Walayat is attained in that age range, not in the old age. After 50 years, then he's going to grab a tasbih. What is that poor soul going to do? Yes, then he doesn't have any desires of the nafs left. There's nothing left inside him, no desires. It's just medicines and medicines, nothing else. So, if he sits in the masjid now and he stretches it out long, many days, Allah Ta'ala says all the maqamat, the rank, the status of walayat, that starts up a person in the younger age, he can get them. Especially the nafs, the desires, that person at that time when he's young, his nafs is at its heights, it's the strongest. This is a unique statement, that the person who has crushed his desires in the young age, subhanAllah, then he can get to a very high status. The young people who are listening, listen, this is your time, attain walayat, attain the nearness of Allah, and break your desires. Break your desires. So this is what we have to do. So when the insan, when he breaks his desires in the youth, then he has enjoyment in the old age, mashallah. Enjoyment in the old age. Yeah, then he just sits and eats in the old age. He just sits and eats. Because Allah has given him, let him off quite a lot after that. When the old age comes, then Allah lets him off a lot. Okay, this is forgiven, this is forgiven. Because he's earned a lot in the earlier years. He's got the darajat, he's got wilayat. He's gone to Allah's qurb and nearness and closeness. So mashallah, the young individuals here understand this point, that this age is very valuable for you, your young age. Yeah. So when one white hair comes into the black beard, then consider that's it. So before the first white hair comes, work hard as much as possible as you can. I'm telling you this. Okay, let's recite the kalimat now, the du'as. Our Holy Prophet ﷺ, what great gifts and kalimat He's left for us. In that time, people used to buy servants, slaves. And in that era, that age, when somebody would free a slave, then he would get a lot of reward for freeing a slave. So much reward, the amount of hairs on the body of that slave, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala would forgive the sins of the master, the owner of the slave. That was one action in that era, fantastic action. That there were lots of people who had attendants and slaves and workers. To free a slave was a big deed. And especially this action, that if that slave was a slave from the high grade nasl, because Hazrat Yusuf alayhi salam was a ghulam. So if it was a slave from he had a link with a high grade family, had a high status, then for example, the high grade slave would be the slave from the nasl of Hazrat Ismail alayhi salam. So if somebody freed that slave, then he'd have even much more reward, because that slave was attached to a big family. So Allah's Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam said that in this era, in this day and age, we don't understand this. Obviously, that system of slaves and workers has finished. And to keep slaves and to keep people working for you, that's not here now. That's finished. But the thawab is very great. So Allah's Nabi has given us such a kalima, that whoever in this era, this day and age recites this kalima, this verse, then that person will get from the nasl, from the progeny of Hazrat Ismail alayhi salam, the reward for freeing 10 slaves. 10 slaves. Yes, even up till now, mashallah, that is ongoing, the thawab in terms of the concept of the reward. So we will recite those kalimat now. It's Ramadan as well. And look how much reward we will get. Bonus. So these kalimat, they are very beloved to Allah. And these kalimat, the ithal thawab, is for my sheikh, for my teacher. This is the morning of Laylatul Qadr. And with the morning, the light has started to spread. Allah's mercy right now is waiting. Allah Ta'ala's mercy is waiting. Allah wants to distribute His mercy. Open your heart and in the presence of Allah present your needs, your requirements, inshallah. These are those kalimat, verses that from many centuries the awliyaullah have recited from their blessed tongues. Allah Ta'ala, He always listens to His friends. Whatever kalimats His friends recited, Allah Ta'ala definitely accepts them. And so by imitating them, we also will recite those kalimat that have arrived to us from our honorable teachers, mashayikh, and we will recite these verses. Hazrat Sahib, when he instructed me, then he called me separately and he stated that you also recite these kalimat. At that time I didn't even have a pen or paper. So I was afraid, what shall I do now? Then Hazrat Sahib, he took an old piece of paper. Even today I've got that piece of paper. And he gave me his own pen and said, write these kalimat. And he made me write those kalimat. So until today I remember that event. So when the kalma finished, then Hazrat said that, don't you want to say Ameen? When he finished telling me all the kalimat, you have to say Ameen, write that down as well. So unique love of the Shaykh, every point a person remembers. Quite a long time has passed. That style today is like Hazrat Sahib sat in the Khanqah and speaking to me. So these are those people who they change the life of a person, the fortune of a person, the direction of a person changes. So the human being just needs to be a person who, he should not betray. Because a person who betrays can never never succeed. One is a person who is obedient, one is a person who betrays and disobedient. Those who have to take the hand, they leave the hand. And those who are obedient, that they take the hand, they never leave that hand. They never leave the side of the teacher. They just stick to their job, their duty. So brothers, colleagues, Allah Ta'ala, if He's given us somebody's hand, then you don't keep on getting the hand afterwards. So crush your desires, and the nasiha advice the Shaykh gives to you, listen attentively and practice on that. And inshallah your dunya and the hereafter will become nice and good. Very quickly people slip up and trip up. They forget the nasiha, the advices of the teacher. They forget when they took the hand of the Shaykh, they made some promises that I won't leave salah, I will practice the sunnah, and the wazaif, the lessons you have given to me, I'll be punctual and regular in them. But a person leaves them. Yes, it's just by name he's a student, but inside he's empty. So today do tawbah everybody, inshallah. And whatever my Shaykh gave nasiha, advice, I will stick to that. And today if he does tawbah, then Allah is so merciful that the previous laziness, Allah will forgive all of that. And Allah will elevate the status. Look, this is a very valuable thing, to take the hand of a teacher, a guide. Where do you get this action in the world? Where? And you, I think, those who are sat here, I don't know, 50 years, 30 years duration, mashallah, they are going along. Then how can you be lazy after such a long period of time? Then how can you say after such a long time, I can't do dhikr, I can't practice the sunnah, I get lazy, I can't pray salah in congregation? It's amazing, surprising to hear this. How a person becomes, he betrays and leaves the side, disobedient, then he doesn't get anywhere. You should be obedient, ghulam, follower, obedient follower. And you should fulfill the rights of being a student. Yes, otherwise why did you take the hand of the teacher? Yes, then become a young man, be bold, be bold. Okay, let's do dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Everybody collectively, let's recite. Perform muraqabah, do dhikrullah, focus towards your heart, and inside your heart remember Allah. Your heart, connect your heart to your Shaykh's heart, and make niyyah intention that all the kalamat I've recited today, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, these kalamat, these verses, the thawab, the reward, for the sake of Imamul Anbiya, the head of the prophets, Rahmatul lil Alameen, the master of the two worlds, mercy to the universe, Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, all the mashayikh, honorable mashayikh, through them to our Shaykh, our teacher. May Allah Ta'ala give the reward to all of them, and may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, His magnificence, His brilliance, His splendor, that Allah Ta'ala inserted and instilled into the blessed heart of the Prophet ﷺ, and due to his association all the honorable Mashaykh, their hearts were illuminated. And for the sake of our Shaykh, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, please our Lataif spiritual lessons, please also illuminate them. And like a mirror, from the Holy Prophet ﷺ through all the Shaykhs up to our teacher, like a reflection through all of them, their fairs, their blessings, please allow that to arrive to our heart. And then, by being grateful for all of this, our heart is saying, Allah, Allah, Allah. It's doing the dhikr of Allah.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alamin. Wassalatu wassalamu ala sayyidina Rasulullah. Allahumma lakal hamdu wa ta'ala Allahumma bika a'udhu ya rahman ya rahman. La ilaha illa Allah wahdahu la sharika lahu. Allahumma ighfir lana dhunubana. أصبحنا أصبح من كائن الكبرياء والعصمة والخلق والليل والنهار ما يضع الله ومن أصل الله وأوسط السلام والحق وجعل استقامة أصبحت ومشاهد ما هو فتاه النصر والنور والبركات لا إله إلا الله خيرنا يوم القصد وصلى الله تعالى على خير خلقه محمد وعليه وصحبه أجمعين يا حبيبي يا أرحم. سبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون وسلام على المرسلين.